Hello, this is Servet Hassan. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc. It's Sunday night. It's 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I was all excited. We had a great guest lined up, and I haven't heard from her. They're supposed to call in a few minutes before airtime, and I sent a message. So hopefully she gets the message, and maybe we'll call in the meantime. So I thought what I'd do, just because I'm the eternal optimist, is perhaps just introduce her and hope that she calls in, because we'll be the eternal. I tried to reach her telepathically even. Like, Alexandra, call Intuitive Inc. Yeah, nothing happened. So I'm still trying. Anyway, her name is Dr. Alexandra Chauran. I hope I'm saying that right, but I don't know, because that's normally what I do at the beginning of the show before we go on live, because it's a live show, and that's what's hard about live shows, is because it's live, which means that if someone doesn't call in, then I'm here by myself. And I didn't even have a topic prepared. And you can't put on a pre-recorded show because it's live. So you can't just push another button and have a show you did before come on the air. So just me. I have to just talk as long as I can. Hopefully I'll get some callers, and one of those callers will be Alexandra Chauran. She's from Issaquah, Washington. So I know she's at Washington State. So I know she's in the same time zone as I am. So I was thinking that would be great on a Sunday night. I sent out a blast. And as many of you know, I posted on Facebook and all kinds of other things. So, I'm going to look one more time, see if I have any messages here, but so far, we're not getting any. She hasn't called. She was an interesting topic. I have never talked to anybody who is queen of a coven. I really don't know anything much about her, and I was going to find out along with you, which would have been a ton of fun, because really, honestly, she's a second generation fortune teller. She's the high priestess of British traditional Wicca and the queen of a coven. So she's a professional psychic intuitive and has been for over a decade. So she's been serving psychic apprentices and thousands of clients. I know that. So, awesome stuff there. So let's just make sure my message went through, the one that was telepathic. And the email, I don't always get a cell phone number, so I just rely on people to know, and call when they're supposed to. So I hope nothing happened. That's the other thing. I was worried too, because when someone doesn't call, I wonder, if something happened, if they're okay. I worry about everybody. That's what I do. But anyway, she's has a master's in teaching from Seattle University, a doctorate from Valdosta State University, and she's certified in tarot cards. And I didn't even know you could be. Well, I did actually know you could be certified in tarot, but I don't know how one goes about that. So I was going to ask about that. And she also, when she's not teaching, she has a ham radio, and her call sign is WI7CH. So, and she could be found, if you need to find her. I need to find her at cpsychic.com. So that's what I just did. I just went ahead and emailed her at, her email address, which is Alexandra, her name, .Chauran, CHAURAN, at cpsychic.com. So we were going to have this really deep discussion about psychics and what she does. She's written several books, I think. One of them was, so you want to be a psychic intuitive, a down-to-earth guide, and then there was clairvoyance for beginners, and I believe there was one about hexes, and have you been hexed? Or I was going to bring up all these great topics, and so here we are, just me. So hopefully, I mean, you never know, because I check my email on my phone. People do now. You know, everybody's got social media and iPhones, and she's a witch, so I'm hoping she hears me. Alexandra! Alexandra! You know, someone's going to tune in right now and have no freaking clue what I'm doing and just think I've lost my mind. So anyway, what I'm going to do, since I am going to have to wing this, is I'm going to talk about the chapter that we were going to talk about, because the reason that I know her is she had written a chapter for Llewellyn's complete book of mindful living. That, as most of you know, I did 2 chapters for a mindful manifesting and mindful mourning. And her chapter was called Indirect and Spiritual Forms of Grounding. And I've talked about that on the show before with Angela Wicks, who is the acquisitions editor at Llewellyn. So we all kind of have a little community going there. So I was trying to promote the book, but also trying to promote the people in it, because we're all in it together, right? So we're all in what we're in. And I just thought that that would be great, you know, that we could discuss what her work is and everything else. So, you know, what I think would be a great idea too, is if, anybody out there just has a question for me and they need an answer, then, you know, I'm happy to help. If you have a question about you know what I like to work on the most, I think, is I really like to work on when people get stuck. That you can't figure out how you're in one place in your life and you can't get to the next place, then, you know, that's kind of, there's a reason, you know, because if you were of the consciousness of the place you want to be, you would be there. You wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need to call me. You wouldn't need to call anybody. You'd be where you want to be. So if you're not, then you're not, then there's something, I don't know, you know, it's there's this, it's usually something from your past that keeps us stuck. And I think there's kind of a universal thing that, that keeps everybody kind of stuck too, which is the universal lack. I'm not good enough. I'm either not smart enough, or I'm not young enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not, and something not enough of. And that's where people generally sort of kind of get caught up in staying where they are instead of moving forward. So anyway, I thought what I would do is, well, let me open the lines. So if you have a question about anything about your future, which who doesn't, or more specifically about how to get where from A to B, or from A to C, or D or E, or A to Z even, without, you know, a lot of times too we fall back because we don't get it consciously. If we're not in the consciousness of who and what we want to be, then we will revert back to what we were before. That's why, have you noticed people sometimes they get a little bit ahead, but then they end up back where they were. They lose traction of it because it's not a part of who they are yet. In other words, if you really want to have, you know, that's why just doing affirmations or vision boards or positive thinking, there is nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing affirmations and vision boards and et cetera, et cetera. The problem with that is that if you're not in the consciousness of where you want to be, then you might get something, but you won't keep it. Like, let's say that you want a BMW, you want a new car, and you cut out pictures and you do everything they tell you to do, and you put pictures of it up everywhere, and you do affirmations day and night. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. You either won't get it or you will get the car, and then something will happen where you lose the car. But if you are in the state of consciousness where you should be driving that kind of car, you can do those affirmations and everything else, and you'll get to keep it. Or the other part of that is that if you are in that consciousness of being able to drive a car like that and do that kind of thing, then you can also the car will come to you. That's the other thing. It's like when you're in the conscious state of being that you should be in, then things move towards you. And then that's why manifesting becomes effortless. And that actually is what the true law of attraction is. So I'm putting out a plea to everybody out there that's listening. If you have a question, or if you're stuck, or if you want to be in a different conscious state, or have a different life than you have now, or move up somewhere, or do something, or have something you don't have, and you can't figure out why it's not coming to you, then call in. Let's talk about it and discuss it, because Alexandra Chauran is obviously, it's already a quarter of the way into the hour, and pretty much, and she's on her broomstick somewhere flying away. So I don't know what happened to her. Hopefully she's okay. And I do send good thoughts for that, because I never judge. I mean, I don't even, I don't judge anything, actually. I mean, I'm open to hear anybody talk about anything. And if some form of, some spiritual path works for you, I wouldn't judge that either. I mean, I think that whatever works. And you should do what works for you. That's why I don't think there is one way, Like, people will approach me all the time and say, Course in Miracles. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with A Course in Miracles. But I'm not going to, I've read it. I've done it. The Course, I've studied it. But I'm not going to use that as my one and only spiritual path. I think there are many different spiritual paths. And then there are things I disagree with too, because it says in the Course in Miracles that the opposite of love is fear. And I don't agree with that. I think the opposite of love is hate. I still believe that. And I think the opposite of fear is peace of mind. Peace of mind. So, just because the Course says it doesn't make it real. We do have a caller. Perhaps it's Alexandra. Hello? Hi.
This is Catherine.
Catherine, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Denver, Colorado.
Oh, nice. How is Denver, Colorado?
It's wonderful. It's been seasonally hot like everywhere else, but it's beautiful out right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you called in. Were you listening? Did you hear that Alexandra Chauran, even though I was telepathically trying to reach her, did not call in today, unfortunately, and was supposed to? And when you do a live show, that's really hard because, other than sending her a message and asking her if, where are you? You're pretty much.
The good thing that we can hope for, I guess, the positive thought is that it wasn't something so serious, to her or somebody else that made her unable, to call in and talk with us.
Well, that's right. And that's what I said right up front, that I start to worry a little bit because, people don't do that on purpose. So I feel like, no one does that. I think I'll be a jerk and not call. Nobody, that's not it.
Nobody does that, and that always worries me too. I just caught a part end of it. I was tied up for a little bit, and I don't like to miss this show because I really enjoy it, and it's been very educational and just good for me. And
wow, thank you.
I'm sorry that I didn't get to hear the whole thing.
Well, thank you.
Show.
I appreciate that. Well, I sort of introduced her anyway because sometimes they've forgotten and they all of a sudden they remember and they get on the line. And so I was hoping, but and I've never spoken to a queen of a coven before. So I was kind of looking forward to that, but maybe we'll get her back on the line some other time. Anyway, do you, Catherine, have a question, or is there something you want to discuss, or and who you said Annette does that all the time? Annette worries me. Is Annette someone who works for you?
And Annette, no, Annette used to work for me. She doesn't work for me anymore. But we have a new person that we have let driving, kind of like a working interview, and his name is Kenny, Kenney.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, who works with me, really likes him and thinks he will be a good addition to the growth of our company. So I'd like to ask that if I can.
Oh, sure. I mean, and Kenny is kind of on board already, and he's doing like a working interview, like you're trying him out. Is that what it is?
That's correct, yes. And it seems like everybody seems to think he is going to be good for us. And I haven't met him yet because I'm not there, but maybe we could talk about him for a minute and see what you think.
Well, I got a good feeling. I think he's really trying hard. I think he's trying too hard almost. You know what I mean? So not that that's a bad thing because he's working really hard. He's really trying. But I think once he knows he's on board, I think he might kind of slack off a little bit. You know what I mean? So he's really pushing it right now. But I think that's okay. I think even when he slacks off, he relaxes a little bit. I still think he'll be good. I do. The other thing I get about him too is I feel like he's honest because he hasn't been in the past. So maybe he got caught doing something or something. And anyway, he won't do it again. So I think that that's a good thing, that he's really honestly going to really be above board, Do
you think he will stay for a while?
I think he'll stay about a year. That's what I got. And I don't know why. That just struck me as like, well, he'll be there at least a year. So, He's young too, right?
I don't know because I haven't seen the paperwork on him because I haven't been around. Mm-hmm. I just know that he came in for an interview and they liked him and he's doing that. Of course, we like to have him stay at least 2 or 3 years because the cost to train him, and it takes us about 3 months, is costly.
Right. Well, timing's the hardest thing of all, but I don't feel like he's running out the door any day soon.
Okay, good.
I don't. And I feel good about him, actually. Like I said, I think he's going to he'll slack off a little bit, but not too much, and he's really honest. I think something happened to him. He got caught doing something he shouldn't have been doing, and so he's really careful now. So
okay.
I think he'll be
good.
I think he'll be a good addition for your team.
Good. Well, that was, I'm always questioning about work, and if there's anything else you'd like to share with me, I'd be open to listen because you're very smart and
thank you.
And a lot of things you have said in the past on the radio show have come true, so I like to hear your word.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to talk to you about your personal life because if you want, so I always ask permission first because I started off when Alexandra didn't call in saying, let's talk about things that keep us stuck, where we don't get what we're trying to manifest. And usually I know there's something behind that. So are you open to talking about having a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're not in one, and you'd
That's
like
correct.
to be in one, right?
I'm not in one. That is correct.
But you'd like to be in one, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, good. Okay, so something, because this is the part where I was talking about earlier, I said something stops us from getting from where we are to where we want to be. Because if we really were in the consciousness of what we want, we would have it. So that's the proof. People say, how do I know if I'm really raising my conscious level of thinking, if I'm raising my awareness, if I'm becoming more and better and doing everything? And I said, well, it's really easy, because your life changes. You don't get a letter in the mail or an email that says, hey, yeah, you've done it. It's like things start coming to you, things start happening, things start opening up. So if we were in the consciousness of being open for a new relationship, for a new man in our life, then you would have one. So the question is, what do you think is keeping you stuck from not allowing that to come in?
Well, maybe a couple things. I've always been kind of a workaholic, and part of my work has got into it, but it seems like I've been sick with some issues, and it's like when I feel better, I'm only better for a while, and I get sick again. And I'm trying to overcome that so I can open myself up a little more.
Okay, so you're working on it, and you think those are the things that are, well, have you done anything about being a workaholic?
I'm in the process of trying to change my working life, which I think will come to an end. Not an end, but maybe somewhat of an end by the end of this year, and no later than next summer. I mean, that's my goal.
Okay. So then you would have more time for a relationship as well. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, and it sounds like you're in process of fixing the health issues too.
Yes, I'm I'm seeing some medical assistance out of state and in state, and this has been ongoing for 5 to 7 years, and they think they've got some options for me, and I am anxious to try them, and by this fall, October or so, I hope to have some better insight. I have some surgery coming up and things like that.
Wow. Okay, so you're going to have a heck of a great 2017, right?
Well,
you're going to be
I'm planning on it. Let's
working
just say that.
less.
I'm planning.
Okay, so let's not put ourselves in the future. Let's live in the now. So, do you meditate at all?
That's interesting you say that, because when I'm on medication, sometimes my mind bounces so much. And just like the last 2 mornings, I have tried to meditate, and my mind flies all over. And I want to meditate more. And actually, I'm out of town, and when I go back home next month, I wrote down 2 things: yoga and a meditation class.
Oh, good. Okay. So, the point, good. So now you don't know when you're going to start that, right? So,
no, but okay. I sure hope it's before September 1st. That's my goal.
Okay. And do you have my MP3 on mindful meditation? It's just a meditation. It's you can order it. I don't know how much it is off the top of my head, but it's like $3.99 or something. It's $3 or $4 or something. And it's an MP3.
Where do you order that?
You order it on my website, or you just email me, and it comes with a PayPal, and you get the MP3 recording. It's the one I use to start my workshops with. And it kind of guides you into a deep relaxation. The whole thing is like maybe 15 minutes, because I don't believe in that you need to sit there for hours. It's about 10, 15 minutes. But then when you finish it, then you can sit there a little bit longer, because I think what you need is about 20 minutes. But it guides you right into it. And the reason it's called the mindful manifesting meditation is because at the end of it, it's all about you seeing yourself in the place you want to be, which is really key to getting there, because it speeds up the process. So in other words, at the end of that meditation, which, you can order, not now, but when the show's over, you can get on, you can get in that place in your mind where now, starting today, tomorrow, whenever, where you see yourself healthy and you feel yourself being healthy, because the only way you can shift your consciousness to a consciousness of health is to train your mind. Your subconscious mind is really what you're working on there, to feel like you already are. And the minute you feel like you already are, it speeds the process up on a physical level, because your mind totally buys it.
Could you tell me your website where I go to do that, please?
Sure. My website is www.servethasan.com. And my email is servet, SERVET, at servethasan.com. So it's SERVETHASAN is my name.
Okay.
But yeah, and it really, because really what you want to do is you want to get in that place where you totally believe that it's already part of your present situation. And then, and the illness is already in your past. So you would visualize yourself saying things to like your daughter, or your best friend, or somebody you really care about deeply, and you'd be saying, yeah, remember when I was sick all the time? And you would be doing that in your meditation now, and really feeling that. Do you know what I mean? Feeling how good that would feel. One of the fastest ways to speed up manifesting, which people don't talk about, but it's really, really works very, very well. And I don't know, it's kind of a hidden little secret, but I heard about it years and years ago, and it really works, is to feel the feeling of relief. Just feel like in your meditation, because you want to be in that state where your mind is like almost asleep but not, so that your body is not interfering with your brain waves. And so you would then feel that like, oh God, it feels so good to be well. Like, do you
be healthy for a change?
Yeah. Do you remember what it felt like to be healthy?
No.
Okay. So you're going to have to dig deep into your memory bank and remember what it felt like to feel really well, or fake it till you make it. But
or what?
Fake it, or fake it until you make it. Because your subconscious won't know the difference between what you're thinking and what's really real. So if you are so relieved that you feel so healthy for a change, your subconscious will start to buy into that. And when it does, it will make it happen on a physical level, because it doesn't know anything else. It really is like a machine. It's like a universal spiritual metaphysical machine. You say, oh, my thighs are getting a little big, and your thighs will get big. It'll say yes. It doesn't know how to say no. It just says yes. So, I'm putting on weight. And the universe goes, okay, we can make that happen, Whereas if you go, if that's why it's so important to not just think about what you say, but what you think. And more important than even what you say or think is what you feel. What you feel, because thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. Feelings draw. Thoughts are Thoughts go out there. They're energy. They're little pieces of energy, just like emotion. It's energy in motion. But feelings attract things. That's why I said if you're in that place where you really feel like you should be driving a really great car, or you really should have a really great job, or you really should have a great man, if you really feel that deep down inside, it will happen. If you really feel like you're the kind of person that deserves that, it can't help but happen. Does that make sense? Okay, so the two things you're going to do in your meditation, which you're going to start doing as soon as you can, you can take a class if you want to, but you kind of don't really need it. You really need to just relax, get your brain waves out of beta. Is it beta was you were thinking, and theta, into the state where you're almost just beneath sleep. And I don't always remember the states because I'm getting old, but that state of mind of right, I can't remember all this stuff anymore. It's like, but it really honestly is like just, you want to get into that very relaxed state. The best time of day to do that is first thing in the morning, because your brain is most plastic. You haven't been...
Well, I understand that, but it seems like the question I have for you on that one is, in the morning, it seems like my brain starts going, boo, 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 I got to do this, I got to do that.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's going to do that, but it's worse once you start going and doing it, too. And then you hear the news.
Yes.
3 more police officers were killed in Baton Rouge and, in Louisiana today. And you're like, oh my God, what's going on in the world? And then I've got to do this and I forgot to call the insurance company and you're off and running, So you have to do it right when you open your eyes. You literally, I don't recommend doing it in bed because people fall back asleep,
Yeah.
So,
I do.
Okay. So what I do, I get up. I get up earlier than I really need to. I get up. I go to the bathroom. Well, I have a call. Hold on one second. I'm just going to put them on with us because it might be our guest. Hello?
Hello, this is Alexandra Chauran. Am I too late?
No, you're not. I'm on with a caller. And we were just chatting about manifesting and meditating and all that kind of stuff. And no, you're not. So, Catherine?
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Don't go away. Catherine, did I answer your question?
Yes. I think you did. And
okay.
Thank you for the information. And
you're welcome. And make sure you get the meditation because it really changes your life. And like I said, the one key to that is to, if you're going to do any kind of visualization or anything, is to really feel the sense of relief that you would feel if it had already happened. Okay?
I will, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. And thank you so much. And welcome to the show. I'm glad she's here.
Yeah, we were worried about you, Alexandra.
That's true.
You should have been. My life has been crazy, but I'm safe now.
I was telepathically sending messages out in the universe. I was like, I hope you're okay.
I am so sorry. I've never done this before. I am so sorry.
No, you know what? You're not.
Well, I'm going to hang up so
Catherine,
you can talk to her.
Right, you should hang up.
Have other people.
Okay,
so
thank you. All right.
Bye.
Okay, now I already talked about you a little bit because I thought I might get you right, a few minutes into the show or something. We still have like 25 minutes or so, 20 minutes. So if you can, are you okay to talk for a little bit?
I am okay to talk for a little bit.
Okay, great. Okay, so I am fascinated because you're a second generation fortune teller. You're a high priestess of the British traditional Wicca, you're queen of a coven. You're a professional psychic, intuitive for a while, and you've got thousands of clients, and you have a master's in teaching from Seattle University and a doctorate from Valdosta State. And you're certified in tarot. And I was really interested in your ham radio, but we can skip that part. We can go straight. And you've written some great books. I mean, I honestly, like, you want to be a psychic intuitive and clairvoyance for beginners, but there's also one that was like, how do you know if you've been hexed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you been hexed?
Yeah, exactly. I thought this was all fascinating stuff. So why don't we start with you just real quickly? Why don't you tell us how did this happen? How did you get into this line? How did it all begin?
Well, it's something that's always been kind of a part of the family, and part of my own personal spiritual practice. I've always, been drawn to witchcraft, and when I was a teenager, I explored joining covens. My mother is powerful psychic, and she's taught me a lot. And I've also learned a lot from other resources, such as the American Tarot Association. And when I, moved out from home, I sort of worked my way through school by doing psychic readings on those telephone hotlines, remember back in the early 2000s when Miss Cleo was on the air saying, call me now for your free reading. And so, it kind of took off from there. And so now I have my own practice.
Well, great. Good for you. Was your mom doing it for a living, or was she just psychic?
She has actually worked for me, with me, and we actually went on a cruise together that was a themed cruise called Psychics on the Sea, where people would go on the cruise so that they could have readings with us, and it was such a great experience to work alongside her. But she's retired now, and so she mostly just does readings for, charity events and things like that.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, so now how does your gift come to you? How do you experience, or can you even put your finger on it? Do you hear things? Do you get like a flash? Do you get like a little video clip almost of like a little scene of something, or do you just feel it?
Well, I'm kind of a divination junkie. Divination tools are tools that we use to sort of access our intuition and refine the answers that we get from our intuition. So I love learning about things like tarot, like crystal ball scrying, like runes, things like that. Those tea leaf readings are often my favorite just because of the whole process of it. But I also work a lot with dreaming, and I'm very much an auditory learner. So I do hear things and see things that other people do not, that I then try to interpret and distinguish from one thing to another.
Well, yeah, that's the part where you have to kind of like keep your mind out of it, because I think if we just keep it to just our intuition, which comes from somewhere else than our mind or our brain, then it's the real thing. Is that
true? True to some extent, but I also think that people deserve to be cautious with it too, because, on the one hand, your intuition is often your first instinct, and when you second guess yourself, that's when you find out that you're wrong.
Right.
But on the other hand, I think that doubt is a good thing, because sometimes we can really fool ourselves, and our minds can be scrambled. Sometimes even mental illnesses can come into play. And so it's important to acknowledge that can happen, and to be really critical of our thoughts as we're having them, so that we can give the best readings possible.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's true. It is true. I read tea leaves, by the way.
Awesome. Yes, that is one of my favorites. It's just such a fun experience, sipping the tea and thinking about the question. Yeah, I just really like the experience of it.
Right. I've been doing it it's just something I learned when I was a little kid. And I thought, oh, doesn't everyone know how to do that? And then it was like, no. And I was like, oh, because I grew up in London and you drank tea every day. You know, there was always tea and tea leaves, and people would look in the cup and go, look, you're going on a trip. And they go, what? And then sure enough, they'd end up going on a trip. Anyway, not to get off subject here, but I find that fascinating as well. But yeah, you do have to be careful because you want to make sure. I also tell people to, whatever they hear, to do, does it feel right to them too? Do you know what I mean? I think they shouldn't just go off and do so. Oh, we have a caller. I'm going to actually take it. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Because they were, okay, here we go. Hello?
Oh, hi. Are you going to be taking readings for Alexandra?
Yes, she's on the line right now. We did get her after all. So here we are. What's your name? What's your name?
This is Lindsay from Del Mar.
Hi, Lindsay from Del Mar. Sure,
Hi.
Go ahead and ask Alexandra.
Right. It sounds very impressive. I'm listening to the radio show, and I really liked it. I like your credentials, and it's just so fun because my mom used to live in England also, and she would go to the gypsies and get tea readings, tea leaf readings. But I'm just trying to figure out, I'm in my 59th year coming up next week, and then the Saturn return came, has kind of had a good one, I think, as good as it could be. And this is the time in life where I'm trying to really figure out, will I be in a relationship or not? I seem to have not nailed it right for the last 29 years. I've seemed to have been failed with female-male relationship, and I'm just trying to sort out, is that even my path, or should I just focus on other spiritual pursuits or writing books or other things? I'm just kind of befuddled sometimes, wondering, will I ever manifest a partner or the companion? So that's kind of on my mind tonight.
Yeah, that hits pretty close to home for me too. The idea of companionship and relationships, and even married folks. Sometimes it can become distant and difficult to draw together, even after you've scored that landed that partner. And so that's a question that just can never be resolved entirely. I was thinking about this the other day. When you buy a puzzle at the store, you see the picture on the box of what it looks like, right? And if you have a relationship with someone, you're kind of putting together the puzzle without knowing what the picture is going to look like. And that works for single life as well, and so as you go along, it is more about the journey and the process, and there's a chance that you could meet not only one person, but several people. I truly believe that people can have multiple soulmates in their lives.
Sure.
Some that will teach them each lesson as they go along. And so absolutely, I think your intuition and your wisdom is correct, that you should try to work on yourself. And that's what I'm doing as well, Focus on yourself, be your best self to try to draw love to you. And if love is not returned, then that's not something that you can force.
Right. Sort of that earlier was talking about, what is it that's stopping us or people from having that relationship. And I know I've been judgmental and critical, and I know I'm critical of myself, so therefore I do that on the outside as well to others. So I'm just trying to release a lot of these things, and here's my opportunity, I guess. Like you're saying, it's a good time to do self-reflection.
Yeah,
absolutely. I resonate with that because I can be critical of myself and others as well. And what I tell myself is just, this is an opportunity for self-improvement, and just keep telling yourself that until you believe it.
Yeah, good. All right, thanks. Well, I'm happy that you're on the show. Okay.
Well, me too.
Thank you. I'm happy to.
All right.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Good.
Thank you for listening.
Bob.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye.
Bye. We were talking about that earlier, about how if you're not in where you want to be, if you don't have what you want to have, you're not in that place you want to be in your life, then there's consciously you're not on that level yet, and there's something that you need to work on in order to be, and then whatever it is you're seeking, or maybe not even needing to seek after that, comes to you naturally, was what we were talking about before you came on. So sometimes you get what you want when you stop needing it so desperately. Well, yeah, because needing it is telling the universe you're lacking something. So that's exactly what we were talking about, because if you're in that place of it's what you're being, and if your beingness is matching your consciousness, you'll get it without trying. You know, if that makes sense. But I kind of explained it a little more in detail before you came on, and she was
Makes
listening.
sense to me.
Yeah, she was listening, and that's great, because she's, I think, actually going to work on that, because suddenly she realized she's critical of herself, you know? And that's the one thing, I think it's almost universal for the majority of a lot of people, is there's something we just feel like it's a lack thing, like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not, you know, there's something we feel like we're not standing up to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I want you to talk about, because we don't have much time now, so talk fast. I want you to talk about your books.
Well, that's a lot to talk about. I've written over a dozen books, so what kind of topics of conversation would you like about that?
Well,
I know
how did
you
you
named
start?
some of them.
Do you love writing? Is that one of your paths? Is it part of the whole?
Absolutely. I'm a teacher by nature. I'm a Gemini, and you know, the first time I looked at my natal chart, I thought, oh goodness, I'm just always going to be drawn to teaching, aren't I? And at the time, I was a school teacher, which is pretty difficult work, and I was kind of overworking myself. And I think that my work as an author has allowed me to teach others in a way that I wouldn't have any other opportunity to do so. And I've had a wonderful working relationship with Llewellyn Worldwide, and they've published books like Crystal Ball Reading for Beginners and Palmistry Every Day and How to Talk to Me After I'm Gone, Spirit Boards for Beginners, Clearing Clutter, Have You Been Hexed, Clairvoyance for Beginners, Fairies and Elementals for Beginners.
Wow, so
you want to be a psychic intuitive.
They're all Llewellyn then, right? All Llewellyn Worldwide?
Not all. I do have some books through some other publishing houses, but Llewellyn has treated me well with most of the books that they've given me the opportunity to work with them with.
Well, yeah, I've done 3 books with them, so I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I mean, that's great. And you're also, the reason I found you is because you wrote a chapter in Llewellyn's complete book of mindful living, which I wrote a couple of chapters for too. So I was kind of promoting the book, which is, I believe, in its second printing. Did you know that?
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah, it is good news. I interviewed Erin Byron, one of the editors of the book, and she was on the show, and she was saying, yeah, it's doing great. So that's good to know. So I want you to tell.
I've been recommending that book to, I've been going to teach meditation to a support group for cancer survivors, and I've really been recommending that book to that group, and it's been very well received.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah, that's perfect it's a good book. It really is. There's so many good authors in there, and you being one of them, and it's just, it touches on every aspect of spirituality, I think. It's got a good mix. They did a really good job with it, I really think. Now, tell me now, I think one of the questions I got most from people that saw the email blast and wanted to call in and wanted to know how they know if they have been hexed or if it's just in their head.
Yeah. A lot of people come to me asking if they've been hexed, and it's actually extremely rare in our culture. In some areas of the world, hexcraft is something that's used very frequently, but here in the Western world, there's very few people who have devoted their entire lives to studying and practicing hexcraft so that they're actually effective at it. And to back up a little bit, I'll say that some hexes can be exceedingly simple. You've probably heard of the evil eye. And so when you glare at someone and just stare daggers and wish they were dead, that's a simple hex, right?
Right.
But since, unless you've been practicing hexcraft your entire life and focusing all of your energy, making that your vocation, you're probably going to just give yourself a headache and probably nothing more than that.
Yeah, and that person isn't going to drop dead, even if you're sending them daggers,
Exactly. So I've worked with a lot of clients who have thought that they have been hexed. And so a lot of the book talks about how you can actually, your mind is so powerful that you can curse yourself. And so a lot of people will get into habits of mind that are so destructive that they can work magic in their lives and even in the lives of their loved ones. And so that's kind of what that book is about. Hexes are, effective hexes, I should say, are exceedingly rare in our culture. Unfortunately, they come up most commonly when people are trying to extort money out of people. For example, a fraudulent psychic might say, oh, your aura is dirty because somebody's hexed you and I can clean it for $300, something like that. Yeah. And so that's kind of where the myth gets started that hexes are rampant in our society.
Right.
But for the most part, people are generally safe. I usually tell people, think it through. Have you recently been to a country where hexcraft is very, very common? And have you done something to offend or to harm somebody's family in that country? Have you seen evidence of hexcraft, around your home? And for the most part, hexes are typically born from the person's own mind, which isn't to try to lessen the effect at all. People's minds are very powerful. Oh. But it does place the power right back in your own hands.
Right. And some of these people that are telling you you've been hexed, the so-called con artists of the psychic world, they know your mind is so powerful. And if they plant that seed, that it will wreak havoc,
Absolutely. And that's why it's really important to report those fraudulent people whenever that occurs. Even if it doesn't fool you, if you're somebody who goes out for tarot readings regularly and you just laugh it off when some fraud tries to tell that to you, make sure to report it, contact the proper authorities, contact the Better Business Bureau, the police.
Right.
Talk to people about it because there are more vulnerable people, little old ladies who are going to get fooled.
Oh, they get ripped off for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, $100 for a bottle of tap water or something. It's ridiculous. I report them. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
it happens more often than I care to admit. Luckily, it's still pretty rare, but it happens more often than I care to admit. Yep.
Right. And, there is no devil out there. The devil is our own negative thinking, our own thoughts used against us. And, if our minds sometime can be the worst terrorist on earth, we can do, sometimes I've told a couple of clients, if someone else were talking to you the way you're talking to yourself in your own mind, you would slap them. You would.
Yes.
So
yes.
Don't let yourself talk to yourself like that. It's important. Yes. It really is important. Okay, so I'm so glad you called in, Alexandra, and I want you to have a chance to tell everybody how to find you.
Sure. You can find me online at seepsychic.com. That's SEE psychic.com/books, and that's where you're going to find all my books that you're interested in. And I'm always happy to be found on Facebook. You can find my page by searching for Alexandra Chauran. You'll find Dr. Alexandra Chauran as a page. And I'm happy to talk shop with people. So I'm really glad I had a good opportunity on this show.
Good.
And if you email me, you might even be able to get a download code for an audiobook because I have a few of those for some titles.
Okay, great. Now, do you do any sessions in person?
Absolutely. I work in Issaquah, Washington State, where I have an office, and I do sessions in person by appointment only.
Okay, great. Now, where is Issaquah?
Issaquah. Issaquah is right across the bridge from Seattle, so it's about 30 minutes away from Seattle, Washington.
Oh, not bad. Oh, I bet it's beautiful.
It is very beautiful. We are surrounded by lovely little foothills that they like to call the Issaquah Alps.
Wow. Anyway, it's kind of funny how the universe works, because I was doing some research for something, and I was looking at Terence McKenna, and I don't know if you know who that is, but he was he's a great guy, dreamer, a poet, a writer, all kinds of things. He has a BS in ecology and resource conservation, and also a BS in shamanism from UC Berkeley. And anyway, the guy fascinated me, and I don't know why I ran across this, but I had to read this to you because it's really short because we're running out of time. But in a book that I was reading called Wild Ducks Flying Backwards by Tom Robbins, but that's a whole other story. So I'm a Gemini like you, so I kind of go. But anyway, this is what he said. He said he was a really great pontificate. I mean, people think of him as a genius in some parts of the world here. So anyway, he said, and I believe, it's a quote taken out of something else, but he says, and I believe that the destruction of paganism was probably the greatest disservice to the evolution of the human psyche that has ever been done. The repression of, quote, witchcraft is really the repression of botanical knowledge. And then I got to interview you. So there. Anyway, I think
Thanks for sharing that.
I shared that because I think your work is important. And
thank you.
Please continue. No judgments, no nothing. I mean, people don't get it, I think, but I think he did, and he wrote about it quite a bit. So anyway, continue the work and keep doing what you do. And maybe we can have you on again at some other time and have another discussion, because you're great, a fellow Gemini like me. And I'd love to talk to you again if you get a chance. Do you have another?
I would love to, and this time I'll be on time.
No problem. Do you have another book coming out anytime soon?
I do. My next book that's coming out in the fall is Runes for Beginners.
Okay.
So check out the store shelves for that when it comes on out.
Okay. Well, then we're going to be having you back then, okay, in the fall. All right.
Sounds great to me.
Take care. Thanks for calling, Alexandra. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Wow, look at that. The universe works in strange ways, and she did call. So I just have a couple of minutes here, and I want to thank her, and I want to thank Catherine for calling in, and the other gal that called in from Del Mar, I think, from San Diego. And anyway, everybody out there that listens, really, I appreciate it. This show is for you. This show is to make you a better you. I mean, that's what I'm all about. That's why I always end the show by saying, be you to the full, because that's what's really beautiful. Because when you connect with your true self and your inner real you, your spiritual self, everything comes to you anyway. It's all like magic, it's like things, you don't do anything. It just happens. So if you have any comments or anything you want to share or any suggestions, please email me at Servet, SERVET, at servethassan.com, SERVETHASAN.com. And the website is www.servet, SERVETHASAN.com. And you can find anything you want. My books are all on there, my sessions, my private sessions that I do, my blog, Memos from My Higher Self, which is designed to help you raise your consciousness as I raise mine. And I blog every day on that. It's just sort of like a little diary. If you miss a show or there's a past one you'd like to hear again, go to my YouTube channel. It's Servet Hassan channel on YouTube, or you can go on my website. There's a link that'll take you to the YouTube channel, okay, directly. Thank you so much. Be you to the full. Yes, be you to the full. That is what's beautiful. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you join me next week. Thanks. Bye.